Good evening, I'm Anna Jabłońska. Welcome to Poland Daily. The Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki, took part in ceremonies commemorating the 100th anniversary of the outbreak of the Greater Poland Uprising, which took place on December 27, 1918. The Prime Minister laid flowers on the grave of General Stanisław Taczak and took part in the unveiling of the commemorative flag.
The Greater Poland Uprising is one of 4 Polish uprisings to end in victory. The insurrection erupted on December 27, 1918, after the region's German authorities visit to Poznań by Polish pianist and independence activist Ignacy Paderewski. By January 15, 1919, almost all of Wielkopolska had been liberated by Polish troops. As a result of the Wielkopolska uprising, almost 2,500 people died and 6,000 were injured. In his speech, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki underlined the importance of the uprising for Poland's past and future. As the heirs of that event, Poles can build a strong republic today, which would not be possible without the great efforts of our ancestors. The Prime Minister laid a wreath at the grave of one of the 1918 insurgency's leaders, General Stanisław Taczak, and unveiled the commemorative plaque in the city of Poznań. Morawiecki also presented medals commemorating the 100th anniversary of regaining independence to those who fought for the Wielkopolska region and participated in the presentation of a commemorative stamp and postcard issued by the Polish Post Office to commemorate the centenary of the outbreak of the Greater Poland Uprising.
An extraordinary session of the Sejm will take place tomorrow, during which MPs will make a decision on the electricity price increase. According to the government's project, energy prices are to be frozen, while energy companies are to receive compensation.
Only one topic will be discussed at tomorrow's sitting of the Sejm, the first reading of the government bill on excise duty and the amendment of some other acts. Before Christmas, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki announced the reduction of excise tax on electricity from 20 to 5 zloty and the interim payment by 95%. The reductions will apply to 17.5 million electricity consumers, which includes households, companies and local governments. The total value of reductions is to amount to 1.7 billion zloty. According to the Ministry of Energy, the total cost of freezing the electricity prices at this year's level are expected to amount to approximately 7.5 billion zloty.
The year 2018 was for Poland yet another year of political conflicts. The ruling camp maintains a stable advantage over the opposition in the polls. However, the next elections to the Sejm and Senate will determine whether the United Right extends the social mandate to rule Poland independently.
The year 2018 was very rich in political events. 2018 was a special year because there were lots of political events, both domestically and globally. They were a development from what happened in the past, while some did not end up being conclusive. I think the upcoming year is really going to be a groundbreaking one. Many issues will be resolved, and we will see whether 2018 was a precursor to success or a general failure. According to columnist Marek Król, 2018 brought the loss of the opposition.
Miniony rok jest totalną porażką totalnej opozycji.
This year was a total catastrophe for the opposition and their leader Grzegorz Schetyna himself. Even those closest to him, as well as the media outlets which used to be on his side, have grown tired of his antics. Meanwhile, according to Rafał Ziemkiewicz, this passing year did not determine a winner in the Polish political scene. Acceptance for the Law and Justice Party has grown, while support for the opposition has been fading away. Their voters are mainly shifting towards smaller parties. I would say it is a tie. We asked some political commentators who, in their opinion, were the biggest winners and losers of 2018 in national politics. When it comes to the winners, I think Patryk Jaki gained a lot this year. You could also say that Rafał Trzaskowski is a winner, but he ended up squandering that within the first day of his tenure as the mayor of Warsaw. There are no clear winners or losers. It is a stalemate across the political divide. Naturally, Jarosław Kaczyński is ending the year on a higher note than his civic platform counterpart, Grzegorz Schetyna. The deciding political test for both the opposition and the ruling Law and Justice Party will come in 2019, with the European Parliament elections scheduled for spring and the elections for Parliament and Senate determining the face of the Polish political scene.
On December 26, Donald Trump made an unexpected appearance at the Al-Assad air base in Iraq, where he met with American soldiers. The U.S. president made a declaration that he would not withdraw the American army from Iraq.
We're not nation building. Rebuilding Syria will require a political solution, and it's a solution that should be paid for by its very rich neighboring countries, not the United States. Let them pay for it, and they will. They will. In fact, Saudi Arabia yesterday, you probably read, stepped up to the plate and has already made a commitment of substantial funds for development. And President Erdogan of Turkey has also agreed to take out any remnants of ISIS, and we'll be working with them.
President Trump's visit to Iraq was officially related to Christmas. Despite initial plans to do so, Trump did not meet with the Prime Minister of the country, who refused to come to the Al-Assad base. The AP agency said that President Trump assured during the visit that there are no plans at all to withdraw American troops from Iraq. He also added that he was going to bring US soldiers home from Syria. However, the American president pointed out that in the event of such a need, Iraq may still be used as a base for attacks on Islamic State fighters.
Thank you for watching Poland Daily. Coming up next, Poland Daily business, culture, history and travel. Good night. Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Another wet night ahead of us with rain across the country. A maximum 7 degrees in Bydgoszcz and minimum 3 degrees in Białystok. The area of Poznań will be the only location spared by the rain. The rain will stay with us tomorrow with showers across the country, even though there will be moments when the sun will peek through the clouds in parts of western and northern Poland, as well as around Kraków. The temperature will hover around 6 to 7 degrees in central and northwestern Poland, while the east and south will experience 4 to 5 degrees. Thank you for watching and good night.
Welcome to Poland Daily Business. Our guest tonight is Wojciech Jakubik of BusinessAlert.com, chief editor of the portal. Sir, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for the invitation.
We will going to discuss the energy prices issue. Those are rising recently.
Oh yes.
And the rise is connected to the emission prices that European Union wants to incentivize the emitters to cut down the high-emitting energy sources.
Yes, and we have something like a carbon tax in Europe. We have emission trading scheme. Everyone who is emitting CO2 needs to pay for it, and it appears that Poland, generating 80% of energy from coal, is highly emission source. So we emit a lot of CO2, so the prices will go up, but they go up on European level in general. So we need to be prepared for higher prices. However, we can do something about it.
That's this ideology behind the economy. One of those things must suffer. But anyway, let's go to the terms that sounds like a magic, the not market. What is the not market?
Okay, so we have different price zones in Europe. You have different price in Germany, in Poland, and in general those zones are like geographical borders, but they do not reflect a real infrastructure that is in place. You have different energy generation in Germany, in Poland. You have big coal generation here and renewables here, and this present model is not including that. So we have a new proposal to recreate market, to manage it with higher efficiency by creating the node markets, taking some experience from the American market. where the market model reflects the situation on the ground. You have a specific infrastructure, you have specific capacity, and this new approach to the market proposed by Polish net operator Polskie Sieci Elektroenergetyczne might bring savings, energy savings, money savings, so cheaper energy for Europeans.
Are there any physical requirements that needs to be done before the system will be implemented?
It is a case of reinventing the management, so you don't need to create new capacities, but you need
no
to...
new connectors, no new nothing?
It is about managing better the things you already have, because to use the present model with higher efficiency, you need to bring new capacity, you need to build new interconnectors.
So, tell us first, what are the major inefficiencies built into the current system?
Okay, so current system has a big assumption, which is false, that the system is capable to manage all the capacity that we have. In fact, we don't have enough infrastructure to use all the capacity we have, and we have some problems with management because we need to use it, the present system, with the highest possible capacity to don't have the blackouts, to don't have problems with supplying energy to the places where it's needed. It's not like you generate some energy in Portugal and you can easily transport it to Poland. That is the ideal energy market written into this model we have, but it is not a reality. In reality, we have physical borders, we have physical problems with getting energy from, for example, from Poland to Portugal, and for example, we have physical conditions making energy from Germany to flow through Poland with losses for Polish grid, and nobody is paying for that. So by creating the node market, you adjust the model to reality.
Okay, we had this with German renewable generation problems of the circular flow of the loopholes. Yes,
exactly. It is a problem that physical conditions make German energy go from northern Germany to southern Germany through Poland, through Czech Republic, and in a way abusing Polish net and blocking Polish capacity to flow through Poland, giving priority to German energy to go to southern Germany. It is not anyone's fault. It's just a misconception of bad market regulation, and this node market would be some kind of answer to this problem and would bring real economic savings.
Okay, let's say a few words about the renewables, how it will be included into that picture you described.
At the beginning, we need to assert that renewable energy brings possibilities, but also challenges, because this generation is cheap, it is easy to be built, it is affordable.
You are speaking mostly about windmills.
Of course, but not only, photovoltaics too. It is an interesting perspective, but in the same time, it is a challenge because it is unstable. So to manage it, you need to have the bigger grid or better model to use it. And we don't have money, we have eco-protest against new grids. So it's better to invest into better model of what we have than to build new infrastructure, which is expensive and it is risky in terms of social protests. And you can stabilize the renewables, you can manage them better, but you won't achieve that with the present market condition because you need a new model to manage it with higher efficiency.
Okay, you also should say that each renewable energy source must be balanced with old-fashioned gas-fired or coal-fired.
And that's why this old model will bring higher emission. In fact, because if you try to manage it with the old school method, you need to back up every renewable source with a conventional source, which is highly emission, and it brings you, in general, higher emission. That's what happened in Germany. In fact, Germans did quit nuclear energy, and they back up renewable generation with coal,
Brown coal,
lignite, lignite brown coal generation, which brings the emission higher. 2016, 17, 18, they have higher CO2 emission in spite of this Energiewende, this green
another
pivot.
example of ideology-driven technology. Let's say a few words about the micro generation, because this is a huge trend, which with rising energy prices, people start to calculate, well, come on, maybe I'll buy windmill small, maybe I'll time the river and put some turbine into it.
I do it on my own.
Yeah.
And don't look on big generation. Of course, it's a great trend and it's coming to Poland. Actually, Polish government is looking for some solutions to support this micro generation, to limit it in the same time to not to hurt the big generation of state-owned enterprises. But this micro generation is fact. It will be cheaper. It will be easily accessible. So in the end, we need to manage this new environment with higher efficiency, and this node market is one of the answers.
Right. Are polskie sieci elektroenergetyczne or the Polish grid company happy about this multitude of small new power sources that want to sell their products through the
Of course, it brings them headache because it's more sources to be managed. It's a bigger amount of generation to be included into this market. So without change in model, the costs will multiply. They will be higher and higher until the end, because you need to change the model of managing this environment to have a better results. Staying in the same pattern will give you no change.
Okay. So the node markets, I hope we explained a little bit what it is, and
well, it's not a romantic issue, but it will touch everyone's pocket.
Okay, in a negative way, I mean, it will draw less money out of our pockets than otherwise.
Hope so.
So we will see how it's going to be. Mr. Wojciech Jakubik, chief editor of businessalert.com, was our guest. Thank you very much. And that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. Another wet night ahead of us with rain across the country. A maximum 7 degrees in Bydgoszcz and minimum 3 degrees in Białystok. The area of Poznań will be the only location spared by the rain. The rain will stay with us tomorrow with showers across the country, even though there will be moments when the sun will peek through the clouds in parts of western and northern Poland, as well as around Kraków. The temperature will hover around 6 to 7 degrees in central and northwestern Poland, while the east and south will experience 4 to 5 degrees. Thank you for watching and good night.
There is something like a wider identity that you kind of see that, you know, he's, especially in Poland, where you
Okay,
know,
but for me, Chopin is so universal that I cannot say that it means Poland. For me, it does not mean Poland. For me, it means, you know, the beauty, perfection, and the art and music and everything, but not exactly the martyrologically use of Chopin's music, or of the sound of Chopin's music, which we are trying to, I hope, I'm trying to avoid it, because I don't like it. I don't recognize it as a good idea to use Chopin as only as a, you know, national sound of martyrology and history and nationalism. Something that I don't like, I don't feel it, I don't agree with it.
okay. I understand that you were saying he has this universal appeal, but certainly the source of pride is, with Chopin, is stronger in Poland.
There was nothing better in our history, not only music, but in our history, there was nothing better than Chopin, than his music, his genius. And it's something that I'm really proud of. Let's say, okay, Chopin means Poland. Not exactly, but also. Let's say also.
The opening of Frédéric Chopin's revolutionary etude projects anxiety and hints at a significant time and place it boiled in danger. The piece was written in 1831 and devoted to a major historical event in Poland, later known as the Polish November Uprising.
So Chopin died early, age of 39. We think most likely because of tuberculosis. Could you tell us why, though, that we have here in Warsaw Chopin's heart?
He wanted his body to be buried in Poland. He wanted his body to be buried in Warsaw, just as his sisters, just as his parents are buried in Warsaw. Then Tsar of Russia wouldn't agree on such situation. So Frédéric Chopin wrote a letter to his very best friend, older sister Ludwika. "Come around, visit me before I die," he writes. So she came to Paris, and then he had a plan. He wanted his heart to be transported back to Warsaw. He quoted famous statement from Saint Matthias' New Testament, "Where your treasure is, there your heart should be." So literally his heart was cut off his body, put in a jar, poured with French Bourbon, put in a steel tomb and transported back to Warsaw by Ludwika, first located in Czapski Palace, where Frédéric Chopin lived before he emigrated, which became a sort of sacred place, a little temple for Warsawians who once again could spend some more time with Frédéric Chopin. And then the heart was buried in the column of the Holy Cross Church, located right next to the place where Frédéric Chopin lived. And this church was destroyed during World War II. So we had this possibility to take out the tomb and to make medical research on the heart, which was located over there. And medical experiments gave us an information that the heart was belonging to a man who was around his 40s when he passed away. As far as we know, Frédéric Chopin was 39, so it's highly likely, it's almost 100% sure that till nowadays in Warsaw, next to the Royal Route, in the Holy Cross Church, Frédéric Chopin's heart is buried.
Right, could you tell us a little something about why you think Chopin has such a strong legacy and, you know, it's still so relevant today?
I think that Chopin is so perfect and genius in his music that there is something like light that Chopin makes, and it goes straight to your heart. If there is a field for Chopin, you will have this. You will have this experience. This light shows many colors. It's multicolored light, and in his work you can find all those tiny emotions. So if there is this field in you, this universal language of music will move you. If not, you know, I would like to try experiment on myself, many different music, many different sounds, and I did it with Chopin, and somehow it worked for me. And I think it's so good and universal music that, you know, in every country, all around the world, there was Chopin somewhere, somehow. And it's really fantastic when you see that Chopin is not the music of, you know, Venice salon concerts and elite European music. Chopin is music that moves also people from a little tribu in Africa. It's favorite music of people in Latin America. It's the music that moves millions of Japanese and Chinese people in Asia. So it's all kind of so universal language that if there is a field in you, in your soul, there will be place for Chopin also. I don't know how to explain. It's, you know, how to explain love, genius, perfection. It's, you know, the Chopin is somewhere among between those words.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Warsaw Rising Museum, a special place dedicated to a major historical event and the greatest uprising in European history, namely the 1944 Uprising of Warsaw. This place is dedicated to honoring the great men and women who laid down their lives on the line to protect the freedom and independence of the great Polish nation.
I can tell you how the uprising looked from my perspective. I was 12 years old at the time and I was supposed to go meet my friends. This was August 1st at 4 p.m. My sister did not make it in time for the assembly. You see, the uprising was planned. It did not just happen out of thin air.
Tylko ono było przygotowywane. Były organizacje rozmaitego typu.
Various organizations were mobilized, both military and civilian.
Była na przykład przygotowana straż pożarna, to znaczy.
For example, some members of the Home Army were allocated to create a fire brigade unit.
Czego chronić od ognia, gasić ogień i tak dalej. Były przygotowane komitety domowe, tak zwane.
So-called household committees were organized, whose aim was to carry out specific missions, like rescuing people and to make the home life easier on ad hoc basis.
W czasie okupacji po prostu takie doraźne organizacje, które no, robiły to, co trzeba. Jak nas wyprowadzili, to proszę zwrócić uwagę na organizację. Chłopcy, mówię chłopcy, bo nie mam pojęcia.
Some boys told me to go to a particular house, so I went there. In the house there were girls sitting at a desk.
Numer taki i taki. Tam poszłam, tam był stolik, były dziewczyny.
They wrote down my name, my mother's name, and they told me to head to a building at Złota 25 Street and stay there.
Mam iść na ulicę Złotą 25 i tam siedzieć. Poszłam na Złotą 25.
Meanwhile, as my sister was wounded, my mother took her to a paramedic facility to seek treatment. Once they tended to my sister's wounds, Mom left her to search for me.
I potem, jak już jej zrobili tam opatrunki,
She headed to the building where the girls at the desk were and told her to look for me at the address they gave me, Złota 25.
dziewczyny przy tym stoliku powiedziały, że jestem Złota 7.
My mother found me there, and since she saw that I was okay, she returned to the medical point to be with my sister.
I wróciła do siostry, do tego sanitarnego punktu.
Expert of everything Warsaw Uprising, Dr. Mirosław Czado presents us amazing details regarding the Polish underground state, from organization to its missions. Our guide helped us piece together the phenomenon of the underground state and understand the true complexity behind their organization.
Nauczanie w czasie okupacji miało bardzo ważną rolę, dlatego że myśl założenia polityki.
Learning had an important role during the occupation because the Polish nation was deemed to be stupid and uneducated, at least by the German doctrine. Polish professors, priests, doctors and teachers were put on lists and steadily killed off in the process.
Polskie społeczeństwo bardzo zdolne jest pozbawiane tego elementu polskiej inteligencji. Zamyka się.
The very able Polish society was stripped of their intelligent elites. High schools and universities would be shut down, as due to Himmler, our nation was only supposed to count to 500 at best, with a 4-year-long primary school system.
Organizacja nauczycielska, która skupia w sobie nauczycieli, którzy w sposób nielegalny, tajny, w domach, na tak zwanych tajnych kompletach.
A secret teaching organization was established and gathered teachers who would illegally teach the youth. Those students were managing to obtain high school diplomas, graduate from universities, write doctoral dissertations.
Maturę, kończą studia, piszą doktoraty i to ciekawe, że wszystkie to wykształcenie zdobyte właśnie w czasie okupacji, polskie państwo po wojnie.
It is interesting that the education obtained during the occupation was widely accepted by the Polish state after the war.
Wszystko to, co Niemcy wprowadzili jako dozwolone.
This was happening on a large scale. The authorities tried to endorse every form of education allowed by Germans. For example, the occupant allowed for vocational schools to operate, so the Poles would use it as a disguise and teach regular high school program or even hold university courses.
Z pewnością tak. Polskie państwo podziemne było cały czas.
The Polish underground state was in constant contact with the London government in exile. It was established in 1939 in France, later moved to England and kept a radio contact with the occupied state.
Przenosi się do Londynu, gdzie cały czas za pomocą kurierów utrzymywany jest kontakt, również kontakt radiowy. Polskie państwo, rozwijając swoje struktury, dzieli się na władzę ustawodawczą, wykonawczą i sądowniczą.
The Polish state managed to establish the judiciary, legislative and executive branches. Underground courts would give out sentences against those who collaborated with the occupant.
Wykorzystać sytuacji, nie mogli czuć się bezpieczne.
Also, those who betrayed Poland or tried to take advantage of the war situation could not feel safe, as the court rulings were carried out in full severity and seriousness. Special instructions were put in place for the citizens of the underground state. The Polish underground state kept up the propaganda war against the Germans. All social actions are being overwatched. The society directly felt the presence of the underground state. Social measures were being taken to keep the nation's spirits up.
Że istnieje coś takiego jak polskie państwo podziemne, że cały czas te struktury były wyczuwalne, cały czas obserwowano jakieś działania społeczne, które miały na celu właśnie podtrzymania całego społeczeństwa na duchu. To było bardzo wyraźnie czuć i chcę jeszcze podkreślić, że tutaj...
It is important to point out the distinction between the Polish underground state and any resistance movement. Firstly, we managed to build a much wider and more broad structure. Additionally, the name resistance movement implies the existence of a collaborating government, which Poland never had. The Polish underground state did not collaborate with the occupier, but it did have a big budget.
Nie współpracowało z okupantem, nie miało też żadnych kontaktów, natomiast miało swój ogromny budżet.
This meant the people working for the state did not have to worry about their salaries, as those would be provided by the authorities. The money came from all over the globe, but also it was printed in Warsaw itself.
Wystawiało im, płaciło im polskie państwo podziemne. Pieniądze płynęły z różnych stron świata, ale także były produkowane...
Namely in the pre-war secret publishing house, which worked for the Germans Monday through Friday, and on the weekends they would print the bills for the Polish underground state.
W weekendy produkcje przestawiano na pieniądze dla polskiego państwa podziemnego.
It is difficult to combat darkness. You can wait for the light, you can look for the light, you can share the light, but the brave men and women of the Warsaw Uprising made the choice to shine. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. See you next time on Poland Daily History.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Travel. And we're also back at Coco and Roy for more Christmas talk with Nick and Jeff about the meaning of Christmas. This is followed by a Vigilia discussion, that is a Christmas Eve discussion, with Jonathan Roy and Anna Sita, the owners of Coco and Roy restaurant. So stay with us. The snow is falling, Christmas is here, and Santa is on his way. Poland Daily Travel, we're here for you.
I mean, you know, in Poland, one thing that is nice about all the traditions, if you are religious, so many of the traditions tie it back into the deeper meaning. So I think it's a little harder for people to lose face of what Christmas is about. I mean, from breaking the bread.
Lose the plot.
Yeah, lose the plot. From breaking the bread before you eat, from waiting for the first star, and this is what the three wise men did? They looked for a star to find baby Jesus. And everything ties it back into that too. It wasn't normal in the U.S. for us all to sing carols before the meal, and this brings family and it just reminds us of what this holiday is about.
Well, thanks. Listen, I'm going to talk to Jonathan and to Anna now about their restaurant, because they're preparing a big feast today. Somebody's got a big Christmas party, and then we'll talk about the food and we'll chat a bit later.
Okay, sounds great, Will.
Don't go away. We've got a very exciting conversation ahead, I hope, because I just said it would be, so it better be, or you're going to be mad. But we're going to do our best. If it's not great, it'll be my fault, because I have here two great people, Jonathan Roy and Anna Sita, and they are the proprietors. That means owners, I think. Is that right? That was a big word. Yeah. And they are the owners of Coco and Roy in beautiful downtown Warsaw, where we are right at this moment, in the back room, talking about Christmas Eve food. What is Christmas Eve called in?
Vigilia.
Vigilia, in Polish, right? Yeah. And what are the? I have here a list. I have here a list. It's not a top 10 list, It's a top
It's
12
top 12
list.
list.
We have a few things here. We have red borscht.
Yes.
We don't have mushroom soup. I understand that's a favorite. We
Yeah.
don't have any because our budget is too small for that. We have carp?
Yep.
My favorite fish? No.
No. Nobody's favorite fish.
What is it with the carp? And we have herring, two kinds. Tell us about the herring. What is?
One is in cream sauce, and then the other one is just straight up with onion and some dill pickle and
a little vinegar or no?
No,
Is it a big- no, just-
no, it's pickled in salt, like it's a brine kind of, yeah, so it's quite salty.
And we had, we didn't get the sauerkraut, but the sauerkraut's normally a thing you have. And poppy seed cake we have on the end, which is a Polish specialty, right?
Yes, it is.
You had that as a
Very
kid
delicious,
all
yes.
the time? And gingerbread, they say. But I had a gingerbread boy, but he ran away.
Of course he did.
Oh no, Mr. Will.
We tried to catch him.
Oh no, Mr. Will.
Yeah, he ran away. Now he's probably running down the street somewhere, probably all soaking wet and, you know, whatever gingerbread does when it gets wet.
So then what the hell is this?
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh yeah, this is my fault.
Yes,
this is gołąbki.
It's not.
Because I like gołąbki. Yeah, and unfortunately we can't eat this if it's Christmas Eve. We can eat it today,
Yes, we can.
but we can't eat it because it has meat in it. And you're not allowed to have meat.
Nope. Only
Actually, even
fish.
right now we're not allowed to. Doesn't
What?
it start? It started. Didn't the non-meat eating start a while back? Actually, with the Advent calendar kind of stuff.
Oh, is that
I
right?
guess it depends on how seriously
Yeah.
you take it. I've only ever done the day.
It's kind of like
that
a
you
mini
know,
Lent,
yeah.
you know. Kind of a,
Your camera's here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been looking over there the
You're
whole time.
looking over there.
Okay.
The camera's That's fine.
Okay.
We've got you covered. We've got you covered. But,
And pierogi you didn't introduce.
And pierogi I didn't introduce. Now tell us about pierogi. What kind of flavors
So
they come
these
in?
are sauerkraut and mushroom,
Mhm.
which actually are my favorite. And yeah, because they're vegetarian, that you eat them
oh, that's
on
right.
Vigilia.
So you don't have. Yeah, but we would have sometimes like a caramelized onion on top, right? And
Yes,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Pierogies are great. I mean, pierogies are synonymous with Poland, like kielbasa.
Yes.
And we can't have kielbasa on Vigilia.
No.
Why is the reason that we can't eat meat?
It's meant to be a fast, that you're fasting, which is quite ironic considering that it's like the day that you eat the most food. It's like the Thanksgiving of Polish culture in a sense, that you're just like, but yeah, it's meant to be a fast. So.
How do you at the restaurant get prepared for your customers or during the Christmas season? You have a lot of parties and
We do, yes. And we actually offer two types of Christmas dinners. So one is American style, and then the other one is we do sort of a variation on like a modern twist on
Polish
on
cooking?
Polish cooking. Yeah. So we'll
So
have
what
like
is it? Could you
we'll
tell
have
us
like a
what it is?
tartare of the herring made with apples. And then what else? We have a soup that's a beet puree with feta. So it's like just, you know, similar themed, but wild mushroom toasts as appetizers. So we're using the same ingredients, but it's just got a new spin on it, kind of more cocoa and nori spin on it. Yeah.
That's good. And you have a big party today, I think.
We do,
yeah?
yes.
How many people is that for? And what
45
are you giving them?
people, and
45.
and they're going to be having like whole baked fish, and a lot of them chose to go with steaks, which is not super Polish, but yeah, but they went for steaks. Doing some pork belly with cabbage, so.
Pork belly, my favorite.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I just like to just rub it on my belly. I don't even have to eat it, just rub it on myself.
Yeah,
along with some lard. Lard is one of my favorite. You can probably tell I've put on weight since I got to know you.
Smollets. Yeah.
This is the reason, Jonathan, that I'm no longer the svelte man when you met me.
The svelte, slippery sledge.
Yeah, it's my 100% lard diet.
Nice.
Especially during the holidays. No, it's in the wintertime I like to, I find it's good both externally and internally, the lard, that is.
Sure.
No?
Warms you. Like a beard. Where's your beard?
Make any sense? Listen, there's some other enough of this silly banter. There's a number of things about, we should have a customs, that's what it is. We should have a wafer and we should break it.
Yes.
As they do in the church, right? I remember
Or at
that.
dinner, yeah. I mean,
do you do that
at home? You do,
Yeah, you do
Mm-hmm.
on Christmas Eve. It's very important. And what's the symbolism of that? Same as in church, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
You're sharing the bread,
Mhm.
right? Between yourselves. The other thing is,
and you well wish while you do it, right? And then you keep a little bit of every person's piece.
Break a piece off the other person's,
And then
you're giving them their wishes for the
everybody
your
from the
wishes for
same piece breaks off, from the big piece breaks off a little.
And then you, as you go, you break off from, like, I'll have some, and then you wish me whatever and take some of mine, and then you start piling it up, basically. And then at the end, you eat it all.
You eat it all, but
Yeah.
it doesn't taste like anything.
It doesn't taste like
I like to
anything.
put
If you like
chocolate
cardboard,
syrup.
it's great, so it doesn't-
I put chocolate. I bring some chocolate syrup. I'm just kidding you. I wouldn't do that.